The full NFL schedule is out for this upcoming season, and people got feelings. So we're going to take a look at the easiest and the toughest schedules. Let's start with the easiest there. The Commanders and the Cowboys tied at the top. You got the whole NFC East. It's just right there. Commanders, Cowboys, Eagles, Giants. What about the hardest schedules? And this is based on opponents' 2021 win percentages. They are defending Super Bowl champs, the Rams. Division rival there, the Cardinals. Right behind them, then you find the other team that went to the Super Bowl in the Bengals, followed by the Bucs, the 49ers, and the Chiefs. Let's welcome in part of the Pick Six podcast, our NFL expert, John Breech. John, top four, technically, easiest schedules. We're going to go through the top three, all in the NFC East. Let's start with the Cowboys. Dallas won this division last year, but as we all know, this division has not had a repeat winner since the Eagles did it from 0-1 to 0-4. So what's your record prediction for the Dallas Cowboys?
Yeah, it has been 18 years since we've seen a repeat winner, so you'd think I have to pick a bad record for the Cowboys and say they have no chance of winning the division. Cowboys have the best quarterback in the division. They have arguably the best overall roster. So, Amanda, I know you're from Texas. You're going to like this. My prediction for the Cowboys is 11-6. I think they're going to take advantage of the fact that they have one of the easiest schedules in the NFL. A big advantage for these NFC East teams is they get to play the AFC South. And so that means a game against Jacksonville, a game against Houston. Any given Sunday in the NFL, anyone can beat anyone. But those are two games that I think every team in the NFC East will feel like they can win. Then you look at the rest of the Cowboys schedule. They have a game against the Lions. And you know who else they play? The rest of the NFC East. The Cowboys absolutely dominated the division last season. They went 6-0. Dak Prescott has just been playing out of his mind whenever he plays the divisional rivals. So I like the Cowboys a lot, and 11-6 is the prediction.
Overall, last year, 12-5 record. Let's go to the team tied with them for the easiest schedule in the NFL, the Commanders. Look, they needed a quarterback. They took Carson Wentz. Eventually, they drafted Sam Howell. What's your record prediction for the former Washington football team, now the Commanders?
Well, I will say that the NFL schedule makers did the Commanders a couple of favors at the early portion of the schedule. In those first 2 weeks, they faced Jacksonville and then they faced Detroit. Now, sure, that week one game, it seems like they're playing a giant mind game with Carson Wentz by making him face the same Jacksonville team he lost to in the regular season finale last year, making him face Doug Peterson, his old coach in Philadelphia. But if you forget the mind games, those feel like two very winnable games for the Commanders. And if they win both of them, they start 2-0. You jump out of the gate, but the problem is they have a brutal schedule after that starting in week 3. They play the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Titans, the Packers, the Colts. It's just a very, very rough stretch there, as we can see. So I do think the Commanders have a schedule that will allow them to pick up a few wins. I don't think we're going to see anything crazy. They went 7-10 last season, and I've got them going 7-10 again this season.
They have not had a winning season since 2015, and according to John Breech, not changing this upcoming season. The third easiest schedule out there, the Eagles. Look, the Eagles are interesting. They got a lot of new weapons on this team. They had a good draft. They traded for A.J. Brown in the middle of the draft, but much like the Commanders, you're going with the same record as last year.
Yeah, I was going to go with the same record, and about 5 minutes before I joined you, Amanda, I changed my mind.
There you go. I didn't know. Surprise.
I decided to add some suspense to this. I actually think the Eagles are going to go 10-7. I actually originally predicted 10-8, but looking more at the schedule and looking at their offseason moves, adding A.J. Brown was such a huge thing. And then you look at their overall schedule. There are so many winnable games, starting with the fact that out of the gate, they open with 4 straight games against teams that didn't make the playoffs last year. If you're Philadelphia, you're thinking, there's no reason we can't beat the Lions, the Vikings, the Commanders, and the Jaguars. There's no reason we can't start 4-0. And then if you're the Eagles, you also like the fact that you end the season with 4 of 5 games against teams that didn't make the playoffs last year, with the Giants, the Bears, the Saints, and the Giants. And obviously the Cowboys are also tucked in there. But so your schedule starts friendly and it ends friendly. And if you're the Eagles, you like both those things. So I think they go 10-7.
Most difficult schedule in the NFL. That belongs to the defending Super Bowl champs, the Rams. Look, it's hard enough to make it back to the Super Bowl. Only 7 teams have ever repeated winning. Last season, they went 12-5 in the regular season. What about this year?
Yeah, the Rams have an interesting schedule because it is the most difficult on paper. But one thing they do have, look, Every team plays 17 games. The Rams are the only team in the NFL that gets to play 10 games in their home stadium because one of their road games is against the Los Angeles Chargers, so that's in SoFi. So that comes across as a huge advantage because you only have to travel 7 times the entire season. We've heard a lot about how the Steelers don't have to leave the Eastern time zone. Well, one thing that California teams hate and Pacific time zone teams hate is traveling to the Eastern time zone. And the Rams don't have to do that either. So those are a lot of things that are positive about the Rams schedule. Now, that being said, this is a very difficult schedule. I mean, we see the Cowboys, obviously their divisional games, Cardinals twice, 49ers twice. They have the Packers, Broncos, and Chargers as 3 of their final 4 games of the season. This is not a schedule where the Rams are going undefeated, but I do think they will do pretty well, and I think I'm going to say 11-6.
Yeah,
so let's go with 11.
None of that looks very pleasing if you're a Rams fan. Let's go to their division rival, the Cardinals, with the second toughest schedule out of the NFL. This is an interesting Cardinals team. Look, you had the drama with Kyler. DeAndre Hopkins is out the first 6 games. Last year, they were so good, and then they sort of went like this. What do you think about the Cardinals?
Yeah, the Cardinals seem to be a roller coaster ride every year. We know about Cliff Kingsbury's history with the team. He starts off hot, and then they fall flat on their face. I don't know they're going to be able to start off hot this year because DeAndre Hopkins is out the first 6 games, and we saw how bad that offense was last season when DeAndre Hopkins was out. And really, the Cardinals' problem is that this early season is their most winnable games, and it's not going to be easy to win those games without DeAndre Hopkins. And then when you get to the back end of the schedule, starting with this Week 10 game against the Rams that we see here, they have a brutal stretch where they face a bunch of teams that all finished last season with a winning record. You got Russell Wilson there. You've got Matt Stafford there. You've got the 49ers, the Chargers. So this is rough. And after making the playoffs last year, I do not think the Cardinals are going to make it this year, and I got them going 9-8.
The third most difficult schedule, that belongs to the reigning AFC champs, the Bengals. Their win total, I've been looking on Caesars. It's set at 9.5 right now. The Browns are the favorite to win the division. The Bengals are tied with the Ravens. What do you feel about the Bengals and their win record this season, or their overall record, I should say?
Well, let's see. Everybody slept on the Bengals last year, and I think they're going to sleep on them again this year. People just like to nap around the Bengals. That's what it seems like. Looking at their schedule, the Bengals feel like a team that could actually get off to a hot start. I know they have that Cowboys game on the road in Week 2, but 3 of their first 4 games are very winnable. You take the Cowboys out, they open up against the Steelers. We don't know who the Steelers quarterback is going to be. It's going to be somebody who's starting with Pittsburgh for the first time ever, whether it's Mitchell Trubisky or Kenny Pickett. Then you get Zach Wilson, the Jets, in Week 3. Yes, I know the Jets upset the Bengals last season, but the Bengals will be going into New York with a chip on their shoulder, knowing that upset happened, and obviously the home game against Tua and the Dolphins on Thursday Night Football. So the Bengals have a schedule that sets up for a hot start, and as long as they can make that happen, I think they can actually beat last year's win total. They went 10-7 in 2021. I'm going to say 11-6 in 2022.
What about the over/under on John Breech tiers?
Well, if they win the Super Bowl, let's take the over. And if they lose the Super Bowl again, let's also take the over. I'm going to cry no matter what.
I just had to throw that in there. Let's go to the Chiefs really quickly. Look, they're not on the great side of history to start this season. The first 8 games of this upcoming season, they're going to be facing teams with winning records. We saw the Chiefs with a slow start to the season last season, and then they picked things up. What do you think about the first several weeks here for the Kansas City Chiefs?
Looking at those opening 8 games, I would have to say that about 90% of the teams in the NFL would go maybe 2-6 or 3-5. But I don't think that's going to happen to the Kansas City Chiefs. When you have Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback, you can beat anyone and you can beat them anywhere. So yes, that is a brutal opening stretch. But I will be surprised if the Chiefs don't get out of it with maybe 5-3, 6-2 record. It's obviously not going to be easy. But the one thing I look at when I look at the Chiefs is the fact that in every season that Patrick Mahomes has been a starter, he's been a starter for 4 seasons, they've won at least 12 games. And it's because he's such a good quarterback. Andy Reid is such a great coach. And I see no reason they won't get near that number again. I don't think they're going to hit 12 just because of that rough start. So I'm going to say 11-6 for Kansas City.
See how it all goes without Tyreek Hill. John Breech, we appreciate it, going through the toughest and easiest schedules that we have ahead of us in the NFL. John, part of the Pick Six podcast. Say that 5 times fast. Latest episode looking at the schedule release, instant reaction there. Also analyzing week 1, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Monday night, Sunday night, Thursday night football, and other notable matchups. Make sure to download and follow.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.